Hey there, I'm Adrian. Welcome back to Better Days Start Today. Today, I want to reframe a belief that I know so many of us have, and it creeps into my mind too sometimes. I've been discussing this idea with other women in my world as well, which has led me to be confident that if you're listening to this, you probably have this belief as well, or at least experience it intermittently. Meaning you have it, it passes, but then you have it again, kind of comes and goes. So you understand it, is what I'm trying to say. One thing that brings this belief up for me is travel. So I want to give you a little bit of context. I was scrolling after I made a post a couple days ago, and I saw somebody on this amazing trip, and it was in a place that I've never been before. I love travel. I love new experiences. That is something that is at the core of who I am and how I spend my time. So this person is on this amazing trip in this location that I would love to go to that I've never been. And I thought to myself, I should have seen more of the world by now. The thing is, I have seen a lot of the world. I've been to several different countries. I studied abroad in another country. I have done many international trips. I've seen a lot of the United States as well in my travels. I love hiking national parks. So I've covered some ground as someone that likes to travel. But seeing somebody in this place, I thought I should have seen more by now. I should have done more by now. And so the belief that I want to talk about today is the belief that we're somehow behind. We're somehow behind in life. Most recently, that came to the forefront for me by seeing somebody else on this trip in this place that I want to go. I should have seen that by now. I should have been there. But we could have this about anything. It could be a job. It could be a family. Maybe we feel like we should have had kids by now. We should have had more kids by now. We should be in a stable career. We should be living in a certain kind of home. It could come up in a lot of different ways. But it's that idea that we're somehow behind. And of course, social media, everybody putting their best foot forward, kind of the highlight reel of their life on there. It's easy to have those thoughts because if you're on social media in any capacity, even if you're not on it all the time, you're going to see things that make you think, I want that for myself, or I should have had that by now. I should have done that by now. Now, I'm a coach, and you would think I would know better than having these types of thoughts that I'm behind in some way. But I just want to stress that that comes up for all of us. That is just the reality of the matter. We see something and we think we want it, or we should have had it, or we should have done it by now. Somewhere along the way, we came to think that there is some type of right timeline for our lives. Marriage by a certain age, career stability by a certain age, having kids by a certain age. And when life doesn't go according to that plan or that map, we might get down on ourselves as if we failed, or we might feel lost, like we can't figure it out. But the things that I've learned through my own journey and from working with other women is that we're not behind. We're on our own timeline. Life is supposed to unfold the way it's going to unfold. We like to trick ourselves into thinking we have control over so many things, when the reality is that we often don't have control over many things. So this idea that we're behind, or that we're not doing it right, that we can't figure out life, it's just not accurate. We're all on our own journey, on our own path, and it unfolds the way it needs to. It unfolds the way we need it to become the best versions of ourselves. What if you stopped measuring your life against someone else's timeline and just started honoring where you are? I love the idea of looking at how far you've come versus how far you have to go. Because if you think in terms of you still haven't gotten to whatever destination yet, you haven't hit the income level, you don't live in the house, you don't have the kids, the whatever image you had in mind, rather than thinking, that is so far off, I'm never going to get there. Sometimes it's really helpful to look back and show yourself evidence of how far you've come. That helps us see that everything that we've been through, the detours, the losses, the restarts, the feeling like a failure and picking ourselves back up again, that's not evidence that you failed. It's evidence that you're brave, that you keep showing up. The path that got you to where you are today is the exact path that is prepared to carry you where you need to be next. And by that, I mean, your journey is going to unfold the way it's going to unfold. You can do what you can to increase the likelihood of a positive outcome, control your effort, your attitude, the way you choose to show up, the people you surround yourself with. But there's always going to be things that happen outside of you that throw you off course. Your life is the path. There is no one track to take. In realizing that there's no one path, it reminds us that there's no catching up. There's no race going on. We're just where we're at in life. We have our dreams and our desires of where we want to be and what we can do to get there. But we also have to leave room for the fact that we may get there in a way that we could never predict. It's all about coming back to ourselves, to our essence, to what feels in alignment, and honoring that and traveling towards that versus getting down on ourselves for not reaching some imaginary timeline that was probably given to us by somebody else. I just want to pop in here and talk about this because I feel like this conversation in my own life has come up more and more. I've heard people saying things like, I should have this by now, I should have done this by now. And I think that comes up as you're hitting middle age, midlife. When we're younger, we think we're going to finally hit a certain age and have it all figured out. And then we start hitting those ages and we realize it's always a figuring out. That doesn't really go away. The one thing that helps is knowing that at this point in my life, whatever comes up, I can figure it out. I have this confidence that I didn't have when I was younger, that I know I will find my way through this and get to the other side. And things aren't always going to look the way that I want them to or how I thought they would, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. If you're in this point of your life where you are feeling a little bit lost, you can use some clarity. Maybe you feel like your timeline is looking a little different than you thought it would. I made a guide called Reimagine Your Life. It's an AI guided reflection. It's not about productivity or fixing yourself. It's really a fun guide that gets you thinking about your life differently. And it will help you listen to yourself in ways that maybe you haven't in a while. It goes over how to use ChatGPT for personal development and gives you some prompts and some best practices for using it for that way. And the beauty of this guide is that it will spark possibility that you may not have allowed yourself to consider, or your mind has not dared to dream in that way. It's powerful to unlock what might be below the surface as subconscious desires and dreams that we have, but we can't really see how they come to life, so we don't even allow ourselves to go there. This guide, this Reimagine Your Life guide, will help you think about yourself differently, listen to yourself differently, and like I said, it's really fun. So I hope you will pick that up if you haven't already. There'll be a link to download it in the show notes, which is just the episode description, so you can click on that and go ahead and grab it. I want you to remember that you are not behind. Doesn't matter how old you are, what you've got going on in your life, you're not behind. You're right on time. You are where you're supposed to be. I hope you have an amazing week, and until next time, remember your better days, they start today. Thanks so much for spending time with me on Better Days Start Today. If you loved this episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a review. It helps more people find this space and start creating their better days too. And hey, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at adriancrowley.com. You'll get exclusive tips, tools, and access to complimentary events designed to support you every step of the way. Until next time, remember, your better days, they start today.